What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Mindy's attack in the Scream 6 trailer and if she'll survive it. And this is something that's going around. I think more people are starting to kind of, recognize what was going on, but I'm not going to claim credit as the first person that saw it, but I will claim credit as the first person kind of in my circle to point it out and start to talk about it, because the very first thing I did after watching the trailer a few times is like, oh, I noticed something in the glass behind Mindy. And it's like, well, that's kind of odd. Is that blood? Is that legitimately blood? And some people say, well, maybe it's a light, like from the outside. But no, it's definitely blood. So let's kind of go through it. You see Mindy several times throughout this trailer, but the trailer is shot, in my opinion, well, a couple different ways. Not in sync. It's not in order of what's going on. And also, it gives you a false sense of who's together. So I think it has kind of been known by other people that Mindy does not seem to be with the group, right? So you see the group, and as it's been pointed out, Kirby is there. The jacket that Kirby's wearing in the leaked picture that came out a little while ago, she is next to Tara. You see a nun next to Tara at some point. Kirby could be behind her, but Kirby is there. Kirby's there, and she's with that group. So you got Sam, you got Tara, you got Chad, and then you have Josh Segura's character, and then you also have Kirby, in that group. And Mindy, they make it look like she's there with them, but she's not, right? I at least I don't think so. I think she's maybe in a different cart, right, a different part of the train, but she does not seem to be with them. And it shows, and I guess part of the reason why, right? It always shows her very close up. In fact, every single time you see Mindy, it's always like chest up. And it's that shot, I believe, maybe like 5 to 6 different times. But it's also shot somewhat out of order. And the reason it's out of order, again, well, Kirby would change some things too if she was there. But also when the lights flicker, and specifically the scenes with Mindy, there are some changes depending on which scene you're looking at. So the first thing to look at, right, is that there's a very clear shot of her in this trailer where everything's fine. The lights are on. Now she looks a little like I don't like maybe confused, or like she's kind of sussing out a situation, right? But she doesn't look to be in grave danger. And you see the window behind her, and it's completely good. Now, a thing to pay attention to is at the top of this window, there's almost like frost, like, if you were to blow on a car, window, or your own window right when it's cold, and you can make like a different shade, a different color. You can see that at the top, and you can always see it at the top with this window. It doesn't change throughout the entire thing. But you can tell the window is completely untouched, right? But depending on which frame you're looking at or which scene you're looking at with Mindy, you may notice that starts to change. So there's a couple different scenes where you see cracks in the window. Now that's why the blood looks so weird to me, right? When I posted on Twitter originally, I was like, why does it like it? I described it to some of the Scream creators as, like those bloody hands. They're like stickers, and you stick them on like windows for like Halloween. In fact, my daughter has it in her room. Like they're thicker. They're more like gooey. It looked like that to me. And it's because it was all kind of fractured, right? It's not like a huge blood splatter. It's kind of fractured. And well, why is it fractured? Well, the glass is shattered. That's why the glass has cuts in it. And you can even tell as well in that foggy area we talked about, right? And it's always foggy, or it's always that kind of shade of color. And even that looks like it has like claw marks, like it's been scratched up. Well, what's happening here? Well, Mindy is actually being, she's either being palm heel. You guys know I'm like a martial artist. So, palm heel, which is, using this part of your palm, knocking her into the head and then knocking her into the window, which maybe, or also just pushing her, or maybe even headbutting her, right? It's definitely possible to headbutt any of those three. But she is hitting that window hard enough to do a couple things. Number one, bleed. That's definitely blood. And there's even a shot in between where Ghostface has her, right, with the hand. There is even a shot that right here, I'll show you on mine, and I'll also show you the picture of her, where you can see this. And again, like without knowing the context, you would say, well, is that blood, or is that like just her outline, like her skin, right? Is it just her skin kind of folded in a weird spot? No, it's blood. It's blood, and it goes down from behind her ear and it drops down. So again, like they show a lot without actually showing anything at all, right? At some point, and you see the flickering and stuff, right? Ghostface is going to go up to her and slam her multiple times. So at the end of the trailer, when she gets grabbed, you hear like an action, but you also do hear, and I think it's when you see her being kind of lifted up a little bit, like that final little push, you do hear a bang. But that's, I think, a bang of her being, shot back in that moment. I don't think that's, and at that point, it already was done. When he puts his hand on her, right? When he puts his hand over her mouth, if you look behind her shoulder, you can see, because she's lifted up, so you see the top of the window, you can see the blood splatter. So I think she gets knocked back a couple times, and there is a pretty good shot of this as well where the screen is dark. It's one of the flickering light things, and her eyes are mostly closed, right? But she looks, in my opinion, like surprised or stunned, I think is the word that I was using in a live stream I did. She looks kind of stunned. And you can read it different ways, right? Like, you can make a facial expression, and one person may think it's a certain facial expression, and somebody else may think it's something else. But I do think at that moment that her eyes are mostly closed, and to me, she has like a stunned, like, I can't believe what happened kind of look. If you look behind her, the blood is there. So I do think at some point, maybe even without even expecting it, right? She has those looks where she's kind of, again, sussing out the situation. But eventually, I do think she's going to be, whether, again, it's a strike or whether she's pushed, and she's going to bang her head. And it has to be hard enough to make the back of her head bleed, drip down, also splatter, basically, against that glass. And that scene where her eyes are mostly closed, I think that is kind of the start of it. So it's not in order. A lot of these scenes, I think those kind of scenes are mixed. I do think the scene at the very end where he grabs her mouth and thrusts her up, again, you can see the blood. I do think that probably in sequential order is the last scene that we see of the trailer, right? Because she's been hit maybe multiple times, and then he kind of quiets her with the hand over her mouth. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm very positive on that is totally blood. You can see it coming down her. She has that look where it does look. Now, you could argue, like one way of maybe looking at it, like if a knife stabbed through her, right? Because it never shows below her like high chest, right? It never shows below it. So she realistically could get stabbed, and it could be blood that splurts out, from like her back. But I really don't think so, because she's got the look, and again, you see it dripping below her ear. I do think it's her head, and also the glass very much confirmed, considering you can see it perfectly unaltered, untouched, and then you see scratch marks, which is like shattering, right? Like splintering off. Something hits it. So her being stabbed with a knife, that may get the blood, but it wouldn't get the damage to the glass. The only way to do that is to bash something against it, and it happens to be her head. So that's kind of the analysis of it. And then, the last little part of this is, so what do we make of it? I still think it's a really, really well done trailer. In fact, probably one of the best ways they could have done something like this, right, without giving it away. But that's the thing, right? When the trailer first comes out, we think, oh, look how good they did in not showing us anything. And then it's like, oh, they showed Mindy get straight up attacked, and to the point of her bleeding from her head. So the question is, does she get out of it? And my answer would be, or my speculation right now would be, I can't imagine that she dies there, because again, please, for the love of God, haven't you learned from what you did? I don't want to be too aggressive, right? Because it's very possible they did learn from Scream 5 and all the spoilers they gave away in the trailer and TV spots there. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. The issue is they haven't given me reason to, right? So I'm not saying she dies there, because ultimately, if you were to like really put me under the spot, which would kind of be right now, and say, do you think she dies there? I think the answer is no. I think she's going to, leave that scene harmed. She'll be injured, but she will not be dead. Somebody will knock into Ghostface and stop him. Maybe Kirby kind of catches up to, again, because we don't know necessarily where the other characters are in relation to Mindy, but they're somewhere near, right? They're not like, it's not like she's at her apartment and they're at a train where they're so far away nobody can stop them. Somebody could stop Ghostface. So we'll see. But yet again, the whole motto of like, city of millions, no one will hear you scream, like that idea that you can do these things and nobody will care, nobody will even maybe notice, right? The idea that that's the slogan as seemingly Mindy is being attacked, and then we know like Mindy's going to get bashed up against the glass multiple times, and nobody stops Ghostface. You imagine Mindy will scream at some point, or she'll try to, and that's why he covers, or she, Ghostface in general, covers her mouth, right? That's pretty obvious. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't think she'll die there. I'm kind of 50-50 on if she'll die in general in the movie, but I don't think she's going to die in that scene. And that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments. So make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description, as well as my wife's ghost face glasses. If you guys still want to buy those, the links are in the description to check out her Etsy store, okay? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.